Do not drink the water. Do not breathe the air. Do not return to your home. Yet they still sent those people home knowing that the contaminants were still there. Warning going out to all of those in this area. Be careful of the water. Be careful of the air you breathe, because it just might kill you. On February 3rd, a train derailed in the village of East Palestine, setting off evacuation orders, a toxic chemical scare, and a federal investigation. This train was carrying toxic chemicals, derailed in eastern Ohio, igniting a fire that covered the town of East Palestine in smoke. Fearful of a major explosion, the authorities carved out an evacuation zone and carried out a controlled release of toxic fumes to neutralize burning cargo inside of the train cars. Residents feared for their health as concerns have mounted about the effect of derailment and the fire could have on the environment and the transportation network. Exactly what happened. So around 9 p.m. on February 3rd, a train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, a village of about 4,700 residents, about 50 miles northwest of Pittsburgh. About 50 of the train's 150 cars ran off the track of its route from Madison to Conway, Pennsylvania. The National Transportation Safety Board is still investigating the cause of the derailment. The train, operated by Norfolk Southern, had been carrying chemicals and combustible materials with vinyl chloride, a toxic flammable gas. Being of most concern to investigators, a huge fire erupted from the derailment, sending thick, billowing smoke into the sky and over the town. Residents on both sides of Ohio-Pennsylvania border were ordered to evacuate as Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio raised alarms about the possible explosion. Local and federal officials started an investigation that involved the NTSB and the Environmental Protection Agency. The question now is, what are the effects to the environment? So the derailment has caused concern about air, soil, and water pollution. On February 10th, the EPA said that about 20 rail cars were reported to have been carrying hazardous materials. Chemicals including vinyl chloride and other ethers were also known to have been and continue to be released into the air, the surface soil, and surface waters. On February 12th, the EPA, after monitoring the air, said it had not detected contaminants at levels of concern in the around East Palestine, although residents might still smell odors. Working with management agency, the EPA had screened the air inside about 290 homes as of February 13th and said it had not detected vinyl chloride or hydrogen chloride, which could cause life-threatening respiratory issues. An additional 181 homes were still awaiting screening as of February 13th. So even though they're saying that they have not detected it, they are still worried about it because of all of these different chemicals burning and mixing and emittance into the air is causing pollution. And those are dangerous chemicals that will cause respiratory issues. So fearing an explosion, the authorities performed a controlled release of the toxic materials from 5 train cars, tankers on February 6th. And the contents were diverted to a trench and burned off. They were also taking other precautionary measures of anyone using the water from the Ohio River. The West Virginia subsidiary of American Water, which provides water services in 24 states, said on February 12th that it had not detected any changes in the water. The subsidiary, which serves more than 500,000 people, said it's also enhanced its treatment process. Norfolk Southern Railways did set up an assistance center for people affected by the derailment. Residents were evacuated and faced uncertainty. Just after the derailment, 1,500 to 2,000 residents of East Palestine were told to evacuate the area. Schools were closed for the week, along with some roads. Norfolk Southern said it had donated $25,000 to help the American Red Cross set up shelters and deal with the influx of people. On February 6th, Mr. DeWine extended the evacuation order to include anyone in a 1 to 2 mile area surrounding East Palestine, including parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania. On February 8th, the governor's office announced that residents were permitted to return home after the air quality samples measured contaminants below the level of their concern. Not meaning there's nothing to be concerned about, but their concern. The East Palestine water treatment plant said it had not seen adverse effects. Norfolk Southern said in a statement that its own experts and contractors were testing water from private wells, although the homeowners were encouraged to use bottled water. There have been no reports of injuries or deaths from the derailment, but many are questioning how safe that area is. On social media and in the news reports, some residents said that fish and frogs were dying in local streams. People shared images of dead animals or said they smelled chemical odors around town. The arrest of a reporter during a news conference about the derailment led to online criticism of the law enforcement response. So basically, they're trying to cover stuff up. And all this other yada yada that they spewed before about there are, no levels, no traces of this, that, or the third is a bold-faced lie. Residents of the area have complained of headaches and feeling sick since the derailment. A federal lawsuit filed by 2 Pennsylvania residents is seeking to force Norfolk Southern to set up health monitoring for residents in both states and to pay for related care for those in a 30-mile radius. 10 days after the derailment, Senator J.D. Vance, Republican of Ohio, said in a statement on Twitter that it was a complex environmental disaster that will require long-term study. Many questions remain about the quality of the braking system of the train, the durability of the repair parts in the train, and the Transportation Department's regulatory approach to nation's rail system. The EPA informed Norfolk Southern on February 10th that it might be responsible for costs associated with the cleanup of the site. The agency did not offer details about when the site might be considered completely returned to normal. So if it's not returned to normal, why did they tell those people they can go back to their homes knowing that you can still smell the chemicals? After the emergency stage of the operation is complete, the longer-term remedial work would begin. Yet and still, they told those people they can return to their homes, knowing that they cannot drink that water. They have to drink bottled water. All of these pictures coming up with residents showing that fish are dying, frogs are dying, and if it's killing them, guess what? It's going to kill the humans as well.